You're live now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Um, what a day. Already, what a day. What a week. What a year. This has been. Uh, um, well, anyway, welcome to Sunday Shift. I gotta act like I've been here before. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend about Sunday Shift. We appreciate all the love y'all have been showing us. Um, kind words, all the things. If you want to buy us a coffee, you can do that. It'll be in the notes. We appreciate you, Janice, for always holding us down. So I'll drop a buy a coffee link as people come in.
Woohoo!
Um, yeah. Tanya, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I went to see the MJ Michael Jackson musical
I saw your tweet or your post.
last yesterday. I want to say last night, but it was yesterday because I went to a day show, and it
Hmm.
was awesome. This is why I like going to museums, not museums, musicals, because they
Hmm.
become a concert. And
Yes.
and I have never been to a Michael Jackson concert in my life, unfortunately. So to be able to go and see this communal Michael Jackson experience was great. It was an adult experience. Nobody was screaming and tearing off their shirts and fainting, but we were just excited over the littlest thing. We know this person is not Michael Jackson, but we treated him like he was Michael. As soon as he like brought out the jacket, we're like, oh my god! As soon as he brought out the glove, we're like, yeah! It was
Oh
funny.
my God.
So
Hi, hi,
yeah, and just
Sandy. Happy Easter.
yeah, seeing somebody perform his music live, it was great. And I, for one, cannot wait for the movie. I've probably
Yeah.
seen like maybe two Michael Jackson movies in my life. This one just seems, I think, I'm excited for it. And so I was just ready to
I'm
be
thinking.
all in my Michael Jackson feels when I got home. Why did I go and search Xfinity? It was like Michael Jackson, and there are like 100 films about this man. And I was like, wow. And I shouldn't have been surprised because he was super, amazing and popular, and people want to have stories about him. But I was like, no. So,
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. I was like, I know I saw obviously the very famous mini
well,
series.
with Flex.
No,
No, okay, the
absolutely
other
not.
one. Yes.
No,
I didn't see
with
the
ba-
Flex one.
no, with baby Jason Weaver. Um
Yes.
and yeah, it's just like yeah, very, very good.
Mhm.
And then I saw This Is It. But
Yeah.
anyway, I have as you see, I have my scarf on. I took down my hair, which was um a feat. um so
Congratulations.
yes, thank you, Sandy. I did go live during the week. I actually started
Oh.
taking my hair down right after I did like the live. I usually just hop on and like on my phone do a little yap session. So we talked a lot about Sprina actually because
Mm.
I just kind of went through like the history of that couple and like all of that. So that was cool. We talked about that. We talked about um like Gemma and young adults and all that. And then I binged Jury Duty, like the retreat, the company retreat. So good, so funny. It was so wholesome. I needed it. And then I also binged the fall and rise of Reggie Dinklage. And so that
Mm.
is Tracy Morgan, um, Daniel Radcliffe, and Eric Alexander.
Did that
Hilarious.
just so you said you've
It's,
been. So did they
it's
release the
on
whole
Peacock. It's like
series?
no, I watched
Okay.
like 7 episodes. Jury
Okay.
Duty did.
Okay.
This one I just caught up on it. But
Okay.
we have a hi
Yeah.
from Denver. Hi Vita,
Hi
and then
from
hi
Denver.
Kita.
Happy
I live
resurrection.
I lived in Denver back in the day for like
Okay.
7 months. It was an experience. I enjoyed it. It was beautiful, 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 beautiful. All of my coworkers would always talk about going hiking, and I don't do that. So it was like an experience. But yeah, I loved Denver
Mhm.
when I lived there.
I believe Denver was one of the first to legalize marijuana.
It was. Oh, let me tell you something, and then we'll hop into the
Some good.
show.
Did you get some good stuff?
So no, okay. I used to work for an organization, and like every time we would bring everybody together, people would be like, people would like drink. So like you'd buy out the bar, and like it'd be like 2 drink minimum, and people who didn't drink could like, so like if I'm with work people, then I don't drink. So I would like hand over my ticket or whatever. Just because I need to keep my wits about me with the coworkers. And so we were in Denver for the first time. This is like 2018, maybe. And we're in Denver for the first time with this group. And somebody was like, "Oh my God, like nobody's really drinking at the bar." And I just started like laughing, and I didn't say anything because the whole place was high. Everybody. They were like showed up the next morning. And it was also because they had never been to a place where it was legal. They just kind of didn't know how to act. You know what I mean? Like people were like just at the airport slamming them like edibles, like, and they couldn't fly. So I had to like go pick people up from the airport. Shout out, if you know about the Denver airport. It's creepy. Had to go pick people up from the airport, like just lost days and confused, and get them a whole nother day at the hotel so they could chill. I was like, y'all gotta learn how to act, okay? Like,
I just
please.
remember we were trying to pass legislation in Oakland to legalize it. We used Denver as an example for, statewide stuff. And so that's what I know Colorado for. A lot of people know Colorado and Denver for skiing. I know it for weed.
Yeah, I was headquartered in Denver. I was on a
Mm,
campaign, so I had to
mhm.
drive every week to Fort Collins and then to Boulder. In Boulder, I was definitely the black friend. So
Yes.
Boulder was that, but it's, I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous place. Just like looking out your window and seeing mountains. Like I'm not very religious, but it does feel very
Mm,
majestic. Hi,
not
Thomas.
a
Thanks for joining us again. We're just
happy
yapping.
Sunday.
Um, but we had a
Talking
little.
about talking about weed on Easter.
There we go. Risen. But oh, Thomas said you've been a General Hospital fan for 30 years. Wow. Well, happy. It's 62 years for GH, right? So that makes me so happy, man. Like people have been clowning Grey's Anatomy. I've been a Grey's Anatomy fan from the very beginning. People have been clowning Grey's Anatomy for all of like the years it's been on. I'm like, babe. Oh, Tara said it's 63 years. Sorry, 63 years. I'm like, babe, do you know how long that GH has been on? The 20 plus years of Grey's Anatomy ain't got nothing to do with the hospital show over here. And I watch them both. So let's hop into the week. Tanya, who are your performers of the week?
So we got some that won't be surprising, but I have to actually give a shout out to the surprise for me, and that was Mr. Mark. And I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, Mark Forget, because he is Canadian French. I'm talking about Pascal. Man, he was upset. He was
I cannot
grieving.
believe you get
I did
okay.
because he was upset. He's mad. His Mark, I have to
I
give it to
love that
you.
you looked his name up.
Yes, I did. Because that
Hmm.
actor deserves kudos. We have
Hmm.
been frustrated by him. We didn't know what this man was about. We didn't know. We called him pajamas. He was just like and so he had his moment this week, and I have to give it a shout out. So yes, Mark, salute to you. And I'm sorry you've lost the man that you love, that you couldn't admit that you love, but you apparently loved him a lot. Um, but also we have to give it up for Van Hansis, um,
Yes.
Fan Carr, Asher Antonishan. I actually looked up how to say his name, Antonishan, for who plays um, Danny. Oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
I spent so much time figuring out how to say this man's name, I forgot his character's name. But yes, I have to give it a shout out to all of them because the boys, they were grieving in their own different ways, and they're doing a great job. Van Hans is grieving his man, doing a good job. We don't quite know what he's up to and staying at the house, but we know that he wants revenge and he's trying to figure out how to get it. So yeah, those were my shout outs this week.
Yeah, agreed.
Nondescript European butler, yes.
Agreed. I think Van is just like such a joy and a find.
Mhm,
And like I was really, really tough on Marco just because I really hated how they were doing his character. I
mhm,
get so frustrated at people just being like ridiculously mad at Sonny. Like there are things to be mad at Sonny about. Be mad at him about those things. No, he didn't kill your homophobic mama. Okay. There's nothing to be mad about that.
yeah.
So I was a little frustrated with him, but his chemistry with Van and just I think that what they were able to build, the intimacy they were able to portray, I thought was so important to watch. And so I'm glad they're giving Van this ability to grieve that relationship that I'm personally sad is gone.
Mhm,
So, and then Finn Carr always, I mean, he's so good. You know, he was on a show on the Disney Channel that I used to watch with my nephew, and he's been good since then. So I've
mhm,
really enjoyed him. And then ugh, we'll get into my J Sam baby, but Asher is definitely killing it.
mhm.
So let's
Yeah.
get into the week. Also, y'all put into the chat like stuff you want us to talk about or your things. I will obviously always put them on screen for people who watch and watch back the live. Let's start with the Chase and Brooklyn Foster story. We can kind of pick it up where we left it off. So Wiley comes in and says, "Brooklyn, what's a
What's a
whore?
hooker?
Or what's
He
a
said
hooker? I'm
hooker.
sorry, hooker. What's a
I
hooker? What's a hooker,
would
Brooklyn?
have been
Look,
so funny
I'm putting
if he
I'm
said
putting
whore. What is a whore, Brooklyn?
I'm putting so much little extra sauce on Wiley. Like, sorry, Wiley, I didn't mean to put that on your name. But he says, Brooklyn, what's a hooker? And it's very clearly like a moment that Chase and Brooklyn are like freaking out, but the foster care person is like obviously like watching them be good parents, like explaining it to
Mhm,
him, not shaming, and I don't know Olivia, um, and just like giving him what's appropriate and letting Michael pick up the rest. It was a good
mhm,
moment for them, but they are clearly freaking out about it.
mhm.
So they tell Michael, and Michael's like, "I'll make a call." But what happens? Michael says, "No, no, 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 no. I know who can make the call for you. Your congresswoman." Were you surprised about him suggesting her?
Hmm. You know what? I was less surprised, but in agreement that yeah, he's right. The congresswoman would be the best person to do it.
Hmm.
Not to say that Willow is the most competent congresswoman, but just knowing what the
She's
services
not the
that they
most incompetent
provide.
though.
She's not the most incompetent, but knowing what elected services some elected officials provide, I think, yeah, but it was a good idea. But I don't know. I don't know why he thought about Willow and why he thought that Brooklyn and Chase should contact Willow. I think maybe because he knew Willow would be willing to do it, but his motivation for doing it, I don't even know. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah,
I was like, hmm.
yeah. I mean, I love Brooklyn. I don't too much love Chase. So for me,
Right.
I was a little frustrated at Brooklyn being mad at him. So,
Mm,
obviously Michael like says like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then all of a sudden Brooklyn's like, "It's your fault," like talking to Michael when Chase leaves. And I'm like,
yeah.
"Well, Brooklyn, how is Michael to know this is a problem when you wanted his kids back with this woman?
Right. When
You
you
were
have
feeling
been
bad about it."
defending him. Yeah, you were defending her to Michael. So obviously he felt that, you guys were friends. He didn't know you had a problem with her because as far as you were concerned, Chase was right to do whatever he did, according to the
And
family.
you
Yeah.
certainly didn't say he was wrong. And
Right.
look, I'm not married, so I can't do the stand by your man thing. I don't know, but I do know that Brooklyn allowed him, and that has been the frustrating thing about this story, that
Mm,
Brooklyn has been able to say, "Oh, well, that's my husband. I'm gonna stand behind him. I'm a I'm gonna stand beside him. I didn't I didn't appreciate it. I didn't think it made sense to me. And then Chase could have said no. Like, Brooklyn, you have to admit, because she's like, oh, I'm not jealous. Well, clearly you are, because you have to
Mhm.
admit why you don't want your husband around this woman.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, is it a good call? Because yeah, maybe Willow didn't shoot Drew, but it's still in the ether that she might have. And y'all could
Mhm.
have just as easily called Laura. So clearly, plot, plot, plot. But I thought it was funny because now, Willow's in it. Um,
Mhm.
Tara said Chase was being messy in Michael's life and BLQ capped for him, and now Michael's being messy in their life. Being messy like your mama before you. Carly would definitely approve. But the thing about it is, poor Michael probably wasn't trying to be messy like Carly
No,
was.
I don't think he. Well, I don't know. We never know. We could come back a week later and he'd be like, "Yeah, I sent him over there for a reason." We just don't
Right,
know. We just don't know now.
right.
Yeah.
Hi, Nikisha. Hi, Millie in the chat. Um, but I also think that, like, so we have Chase go to Willow's house, and I mean, clearly, we had all been thinking like, "Oh, Willow's looking at him like my hero, my hero, my hero." But now that she can do something for him, she was looking like she didn't want to let him go for that hug.
Yeah, that hug was long.
I said, "Oh,
Way too long. And she's
I
clearly not in love with Drew anymore. So she's
right."
setting her sights on somebody else.
Setting her sights on somebody who's always believed in her, as she said. So I
Yeah.
just thought that we are now getting the kind of forecasting of Brooklyn having an issue with it. And now we're also getting Willow. So I could imagine, because Willow or Chase is kind of a puppy dog, right? I don't
Hmm.
think he's going to cheat on Brooklyn. But I do think that we may get in a situation where Willow pushes it with Chase and there's some sort of misconception of what happens. So we'll see, but you know, we will see what happens. We
Hmm.
also have, in the whole grand scheme of Jacinda, we have Christina talking to Tracy like, you need to defend Michael more. Called her Tracy Q, and Tracy said, "Don't call me that."
That was, I mean, that was my hot take. I was like, who is you to call her Tracy Q like that? Ain't nobody.
Weird.
I was like, wild, Christina.
It is. They don't have anything to do with Christina. Like, she
Hmm.
doesn't have anything to do. I was actually talking about this with Tara and talking about the way audiences look at women characters, because when women are in the forefront, people get frustrated with them. And the only way they can kind of get like balanced out is if you like the man that they're either paired with or in scenes with. So we see this with Christina, where people were ready to be like, she gotta go. We tired of it. They calmed her down, they took her out of the front burner. The story is no longer about her, and now she's always in scenes with her brother, who people love. Now all of a
Mm,
sudden, Christina is neutral at best, right? For people. And people didn't like her.
mm.
The other thing you have is Carly. People who have been Carly haters their whole lives. People been Carly haters for the 30 years that our friend in the chat say he been watching the show, right? But now all of a sudden they are liking her with Valentine. So I do think I wonder how people are going to deal with Christina if they put her and Michael at odds, like how people will feel about her.
Yeah, because I'm just like, that's a unique position that the character Christina is in, is that she's actually, I'm thinking at this, well, she's lesbian, right? So if
I think she's
she,
bi.
yeah, that's what I was questioning. Is she bi or
Hmm.
is she lesbian?
Yeah, she's bi.
But if they put her with um,
Jacinda.
Jacinda, how are they going to feel about her as a character? And I like the idea of putting her with Jacinda personally. So I can't wait to see how the audience react to that. And
Yeah.
are they going to react negatively because Justin is with Michael and Michael's a fave, or are they just going to still allow it to happen regardless of it, if it being Michael or it being somebody else that Christina steals this lady from? We shall
Yeah.
see.
I also wonder if it's like because Ethan's coming back and so we don't
Mm,
know if
mhm,
Ethan is going to come back to be with Christina. There's also been speculation that Ethan will come back and maybe be in some sort of situation with Britt. Um
mm,
yeah, so that's interesting to see. I think if Lexi was still playing Christina, it would be obvious to me that they were putting her with Ethan. But
mhm,
it does seem like GH is now in a position more so than we've seen them in a long time to kind of play with like chemistry and say,
mhm,
okay, let's figure out like what makes sense as far as chemistry goes when we tell this story. I was
mhm,
watching Stephen Bradford's podcast earlier, actually, as I was like just kind of getting ready for the day. And Steve had mentioned that J Sam was not like originally written on the page. It was like it came from the chemistry between him and Kelly. And
mhm.
so I'm interested to see like what happens here and if, the kind of messiness. I think that we are going to see that being pushed around with Elizabeth and Rick and Dante too. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to play around with.
Mhm.
We have somebody else who says, I too love Carly, but the Valentine story is perfect for her. Love to see them together. I do
Yeah.
too. I don't think it's long term. But I think obviously like Laura and James have known each other for so long and that chemistry just like shines through. And it is what I appreciate about the way they play it is it feels as surprising to them as characters as it is to us as the audience. Like you
Mhm.
watch Valentine start like, oh, I'm looking at her differently, and her
Mhm.
doing the same to him. And I think that that's what makes it for me so exciting to see them because it clearly is like, where we going with this? Because it can go
Right.
either way.
Right.
So I enjoy that as well. Okay, what else do I have in my notes? Oh, big reveal today, or big reveal. AI Nathan is Cassius.
I don't like that name, Cassius. I'm gonna still go with AI Nathan.
He
Um,
said, he said Sunday shift day to AI Nathan. We gonna call him AI Nathan.
I'm sorry. Oh.
So,
um,
um, Cassius Clay face on is hilarious from Tara. We get a shout out from Sunday Shift Import Misery. Y'all know we love her support Misery always. So we gonna shout her out
yes.
always. That's our third one,
Yeah.
even when she in the chat. This is
Right.
apparently Nathan's new name.
Cassius Clay, Faison.
So I
We'll
will
call him
say
CC Faison for now, because
CCF. So I will say, and speaking of Tara and Sunday in Port Misery, Tara was like tweeting about this as it happened, and one of the things she said was that it does sometimes feel like the show punishes you for being a long term viewer, because the idea of this Cassius even existing does not make sense. Like, what are we doing?
I'm
And
like,
you have
because
so many questions to ask along the way. Who knows what's going on? And so did it change? I mean, the actor has said, Ryan Pavey said that he came to play Cassius. I do think that that shows. I do think that long-term storytelling, yes, nonsense. But short-term storytelling, they have breadcrumbed this to be the thing. And a lot of problems I have with GH sometimes is that they will change a story in the middle of it and be like, "What, you didn't get it? No, I ain't get it because you didn't tell me." You know what I mean? But this one was like, "Oh, it does make sense that since his return, they've been building to this moment." What do you think?
um yeah, I mean, I was just, it makes me want to go back and see how thorough they are in this retelling in the sense, because I wonder, like, what did his mom, like, did his mom know that she had twins?
Hmm.
And did she react in such a way where it was a possibility, where they could tweak the storyline in the future? Yeah, so they have a lot of splaining to do. But I like that one. Ryan Pavey likes the idea of this story enough that he was willing to come back. Two, I am intrigued about how he's going to play this because right now, yeah, he's playing evil, but he's also playing in love with Lulu and willing to do anything for Lulu. So what does that mean for his character long term? We don't know. But I
Well,
think it's interesting.
well, let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So he is let's start with him having this like lunch with Felicia. So he's having this
Mhm.
lunch with Felicia and James, and they are really driving home the point that James is close to him.
Mhm.
That his presence in James' life is actually what James has been searching for. That he was finding a father figure in Mac and with Cody and Spinelli, not with Kai, but what he's really been needing was Nathan. And
Mm.
you have him saying, you know, I love him too. I feel so blessed to be this kid's father. So it does to me feel like he is building like a strong bond with James.
Mhm.
But Felicia seems like she's never really been down with what he's doing. So she was like saying whatever she was gonna say, and then Nathan was like, respectfully, it's not your place. And she's like, I know. It felt like Felicia still was side eyeing him. And I think that's right because I also was like, it does not make sense for Nathan to not fight for Maxie, no matter what. That Nathan was be so gone over Lulu in 6 months that he would not fight for the love that he supposedly had with Maxie.
Now, do you think that she's side eyeing him or she's side eyeing his behavior when it comes to Maxine?
I think both, because I mean Felicia is a
Okay.
PI. So anytime something's weird, it is actually out of character that Felicia would not have dug into this more.
I think it's out of character that all of them haven't dug in.
Right. Right.
But um
Felicia
yes.
Spinelli, like looking at cameras, whatever. They keep
Mhm.
forgetting that Spinelli can do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it does not. I do think that whenever it comes out, we'll probably have a situation where Felicia and Spinelli are at the forefront of finding it out and doing the things they should have done in the first place. But
Mm.
anyway, um, James walks over talking to Kai and Trina. We'll stick a pin in that and come back to whatever that baseball thing is that they're doing. And then and then Nathan is talking to James like, okay, we're gonna go to the batting cage, we'll plan it. Looks at his phone, he says, oh, my boss is calling me, I have something to do. James, and this is what I'm wondering. James says, are you going to do something for a bad guy? And he says yes, kind of insinuating that whoever he's going to see is a bad guy. And then you see him come to Sidwell, and Sidwell does the big reveal of his name. And when Sidwell's like, "You need to do this thing at the PCPD," and he goes, "I don't think I would do that." And Sidwell's, well, you're not Nathan, you're Cassius. We also have him not telling Sidwell about Rocco.
Mhm.
So now we're in this push and pull because we don't know who Nathan is loyal to, and we don't know who knows about him. It sounds like
Mhm.
Pamela here is saying, and I agree. It sounds like Britt knew
Well,
because
yeah,
Britt. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, because last week when she was in the argument with Josh, she said my father had 4 kids. And
Right.
everyone caught that. And so
Hmm.
she knows now that Cassius and Nathan were twins. Whether or not she knew that when Nathan was alive, that's the question. But she knows now, and she's in the loop on everything. I think everything that Sidwell and um Colum are doing. Maybe they found well, it sounds like Sidwell hired Cassius to, be the henchman.
But he
How did they
also said
find
they've
out
been
about him?
working. But they've also
Together
said
for a
they've been
while.
working for a long time.
Right.
So we don't know what a
So,
long
but
time
we
is.
we don't know what the long term thing is. Maybe I don't know if Column is the one that introduced Cassius to Sidwell. I don't know, or maybe we don't know what the story is about this man, except that he had possibly been raised by um, his
Faison.
dad,
Mm-hmm.
Faison, because he has memories of being raised by his dad. But we don't know what happened with that relationship. We don't know why Nathan and Cassius didn't grow up together. We don't know anything, and so yeah, she's got some explaining to do. But it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I'm intrigued. I like I said, I read the article that he did, and he was saying it seems like Cassius is enjoying being Nathan, being the dad, being the hero, and apparently being in love with Lulu. So
Mm-hmm.
whether or not he continues with this path of being evil or he actually wants to stay in Nathan's life, we don't know. I find a lot of similarities between him and Peter August, except the actor that plays him is not annoying. So Nathan said she gave Nathan to Madeline to protect him from Faison. So now nothing makes sense. Yeah, why would you give one son and not the other?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Or it's
Um,
just like the situation like Nina, where she didn't know she had twins.
mhm,
Another clown car uterus, as Port Mystery would say. So I
yeah,
am confused about that. I'm interested to know how they're going to like
mhm,
how weird they're gonna make it, how much they're gonna explain it. Because sometimes, they're just like, here's what it is, and that's just what it is. And sometimes they
mhm,
give us very convoluted backstories, and there's
mhm,
not a whole lot in between.
right.
I do like the conversation that Sidwell and Nathan had when he was like, "Oh, you did all of these things." Like it was exposition, but it made sense because it put it in another light. Sometimes I do exposition for the sake of it, but this was like actually
Mhm,
really good because it reframed storylines that we've seen. So
yeah,
he poisoned Maxie. Originally, we thought it was just because he wanted to do whatever with deception, but it turns
mhm,
out it was like it also worked out that Maxie wouldn't be around Nathan. He also talked
mhm,
about it was another thing he said that he did that was also like for the benefit of people not realizing that he wasn't Nathan. So that made a lot of
mhm,
sense to me in terms of this story, not necessarily overall Nathan,
mhm.
um, but Nathan in this story. He says, but then how did Faison not realize that Nathan looked exactly like his son Cassius Clay? Faison, I have so many questions. We don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know.
wasn't Clay Faison surprised that Nathan was his son or something like that? I think
Hmm.
yeah, so they have to rewrite that in order to make it make sense, and I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to be able to.
yeah, and maybe they just hope that we forgot,
Which is
which
probably
is good.
the case, is that
Yeah,
they're
there's
hoping, and not enough of us have been long-term viewers, like Tara
or that we
said,
didn't pay attention. That
or
we
they're
just like allowed stories to come and go.
mhm, or
I
they're
will also
punishing us.
I will also say I am interested to know what the end game is with Lulu,
Hmm.
because he is telling her, you can't tell anybody, you can't do this, you can't do that. And is this because he's helping Rocco, or because he's like further isolating Lulu? Because now she has this big secret that only she can talk to him about. She is upset, she can only go to him. So now she kind of already has like a distance between her and Dante because I'm with your boy, is a distance between her and Maxie because I'm with your ex. And now they have this big secret where she can only talk to him about it anyway. So I don't know if it's just solely like I'm a good guy. To your point, I don't know if it's because Cassius enjoys being the hero, or if it's because we think that we think that he's like, I just love her so much. The other thing is this also kind of bites back. This speaks to consent because Lulu did not consent to sleeping with Cassius. She consented to sleeping with Nathan. So that's like very murky. And it makes me think of like Lulu just really feeling herself. Like you felt yourself so much that you thought your bestie's husband fell in love with you so much so that he would give up his marriage for you. Hmm. Interesting, Lulu. Interesting. Just gonna say.
Which, yeah, again, speaks to like she's playing a little bit out of character because she's not suspicious at all, and she hasn't looked back into his background, even when she pointed out that he said something that didn't make sense. So
Hmm.
we shall see.
Yeah. I mean, it feels very cocky. It feels very. I
Yeah.
mean, you remember back in the day, all the boys, Lulu's milkshake brought all the boys to the yard. Clearly, every time it was like all the boys wanted Lulu. So it feels like she's like feeling herself in this kind of new iteration. So when she finds this out, I mean, there's so many storyline possibilities, but when she finds this out, it's gonna be interesting to see how she reacts. Is she gonna be
Hmm.
upset? Is the way she's gonna find out that he has to save her life, that Dante has to save her life, whatever it is. Um,
Mm.
we're gonna see.
Yeah, this puts a lot of things up in the air because when Dante found out about her and Nathan, he's immediately thought about, oh, I lost my chance. Well, maybe you didn't once you find out that Nathan ain't real.
Hmm.
You know? So,
So we got Tara saying, "I accept all of this if they explain Nathan having the same fingerprints, the twins having the same fingerprints. Because if you remember when they bought back when we had Billy Miller's Drew, the way they
mhm,
realized that he wasn't Jason is through fingerprints. So
mhm.
that's weird. And then we have another person saying Orphan Black vibes or clones. I didn't watch Orphan Black. I don't know.
Me
Did you?
neither.
Oh,
So, I
I'll
don't know.
Google it. Perhaps. But I think it's just good old fashioned twins. Tar did this link on her Twitter, if you're on Twitter, of like like all the twins from GH, like evil twins, and people just kept sending more and more. So this is a trope that GH loves. They love not only evil twins, but evil identical twins.
Right. Or cousins, as she pointed out in her tweet.
Right.
Some of our cousins, identical
Right. But they
cousins.
just gotta be identical, period. Or doppelgangers. They
Right.
love a doppelganger. So we shall see how they explain this away. But also a part of this, so like there's a big deal of people having to deal with Jason being gone. So we see
Mhm,
Rocco having a hard time. He is like, wasting coffee at Bobby's. We also have the scene where Dante does not know about what happened with Rocco's hand. And Elizabeth is like, oh, just want to check in. How's Rocco? So he is seeing, oh, Lulu is keeping something from me. If Rocco hurt himself bad enough to go to the hospital, she should have at least shot me a text to say, oh, by the way, Rocco cut his hand. I'm taking him to the hospital.
mhm,
So um the J-Sam baby, Danny's also having a tough time. He ends up on the footbridge. I loved seeing him at the footbridge. I hate them still playing this Charlotte Danny situation. Um, Even though I really do enjoy the three of them, the Rocco,
mhm.
Charlotte, Danny trio is very good, and I wish it did not like ruin it for me with the kissing cousins.
Exactly. It still grows. There's nothing acceptable about a GH. You need to let it go. For real.
Yeah.
For real,
Um,
for real.
this is going back to this rewrite. It says the Cassius rewrite is glaring because Liesel hid Nathan from Faison to avoid him becoming evil like him. So I thought Faison didn't know about this pregnancy. I don't know how they explain this. Right. So he knew about the one pregnancy, he didn't know about the other. Are we gonna like have it go back and like Liesel be like, I lied, I tried to parent trap it, and so I took one twin and he took the other, like
But
um
then that goes back to what Tara asked. How does he not know that this one person looked like the other? Like when he met Nathan, he could have been like, "Oh, you look like the son that I had when I was raising as a little boy." Why, none of that
mhm.
happened. So,
And then and then the other piece that I forgot to even mention is this makes Britt look bad because
Mhm.
Britt is watching Nathan's son get close to this evil man.
Well, you remember
So
she didn't want it at first because she remember
yeah,
when
but
he first came back, she was like, you guys shouldn't have him meet James right away, or all that. But she got outmaneuvered by um Obrecht. And wasn't Felicia part of that too?
baby,
Yeah, I
Bradford was talking about
remember.
that scene and he said that um Kelly T went to the directors and stuff and asked how she should play it. So
Mhm.
she knew about the twist when he first came back, and she was
Mhm.
asking how heavy-handed she should play the scene because she
Mhm.
didn't know how long it was going to take for the reveal to happen.
Mhm.
As they had to guide her through how to play that scene, it
Mhm.
still just feels a little trifling, you know?
But then she was always kind of sketchy with them because remember he would show up places and she'd be like, "What are you doing here?" Or
Yeah.
she wasn't always the loving sister with him when he came back. And we were still
Hmm.
trying to figure out why, but now we know why because she knew
Hmm.
he ain't Nathan.
Yeah. Well, he is like protecting her a little bit because he hasn't told everything.
Mhm.
Um and then like I said, he's protecting Rocco, and Rocco is now carrying all this guilt.
Mhm.
And then yeah, he just had baby James around Cassius Clay face like James is gonna break our hearts because he's been such a
I
sweetheart with this
know.
man. I'm like, GH is really torturing the babies. First Sam's babies, now this.
I think Cassius is still being a good father uncle, AI dad. Her uncle, he's still. I mean, he's like trying to parent James and trying to keep him from going being wild and babysitting. Well, not babysitting, but I think he's. I think he has been a decent, uncle dad to him. So we'll
Yeah,
see. I think
yeah,
maybe that. I think maybe James is the one that brings out the true heart of Cassius Clay. Now it's growing on
yeah.
me, and I'm starting to use his name.
I do think so. Somebody asked, did they move Nathan's body? I don't think they told us.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had to have moved it at some point. Um, so we don't know. But I
Yeah.
I agree with you, Tanya. I do wonder if he was like evil, whatever, and then he's just been softened by being a part of a family. Because if you
Mhm.
think about what his life must have been, he must have
Mhm.
kind of been hidden away. He maybe
Mhm.
was a mercenary for the WSB as a result of how he was raised. And now that
Mhm.
he has like a family overall, then he became, a better person and is going to maybe have to wrestle with who he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, our Danny also gets into a fight at school. I didn't like the way Alexis handled this because basically Danny said that the guy was like, "Oh, your dad's gonna go away forever," and then Danny said something slick to him, and Alexis was like, "So you were looking for a fight?" I'm sorry, I
Mhm.
thought that we established that this person started with him.
Mhm.
I don't know. I didn't particularly care for that. Um,
And I did notice that she didn't go all 100%, you're wrong, go to your room, you're grounded. She's trying to take some of Carly's advice, um, and
she's
treating him
gonna
a
have
little
to.
bit different. Mhm.
'Cause she's like, you can't do this in my house. I'm like, well, he didn't ask to come to your house. And he does have
Right.
another house he could go to.
Mhm.
Because if he say he's going back to the Quartermains, he'll just go, and that'll just be done. You know. So, eek. We also have Cullum, Big C, wakes up. He Josslyn apparently went to go like kill him, and then Lucas walked in like, "What you doing?" And that was it. Like he didn't. It was no question about why she'd be in this man's room. This man had looked her
Oh,
in the
she did.
face.
He
Huh?
he did ask her, and then
Yeah, but not a real
he
question.
believed. He was like, "You never answered. Why were you in this room?"
It
And
was
then
it was silly.
she gave some sort of excuse, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, well, whatever."
She
So
said she wanted to see the man that Jason supposedly shot because she didn't believe
shot
he did it. Yeah,
right.
that's what.
I was like,
But Nonsense. So anyway, um, Big C tells Dante that Jason shot him.
Mhm.
He also tells fake Nathan, AI Cassius, that so many names, I have to figure it out. But he tells
Cassius Clay.
Cassius Clay that, which actually, because isn't Nina's last name Clay? So it really does. Oh God, this is terrible. Um, it's
Wow.
terrible. It is. His name really is Cassius Clay. This just made my head hurt. Okay,
What if
so
they write it in? They're gonna write it into GH. They are, but they give us a full background story. He's
I'm
gonna
so
say,
mad at Tara right now. I can't even deal with how bad I am at Tara for this.
Oprah.
The
Oprah's gonna be like,
inception.
I gave him the Clay middle name because he reminded me of you, Nina.
He's a fighter. Like, girl, out of here. Because you know Lisa gonna say all kind of crazy stuff when they bring her back. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm so distracted I can't even remember what I was saying. Oh,
Oh
so
wait.
Big C tells him that um oh okay, Tara got me. Nina got Clay from Silas. Thank goodness. I was like, I wasn't my brain
Yeah.
couldn't handle all that. Thank God. Okay. I'm better. We're back. It's live, y'all. I'm sorry. We're back. We're back.
But still,
so,
it would be perfect. I need
so
GH to write it in.
so he tells Cassius that he doesn't know what happened. He said that he knows it wasn't Jason,
Mhm.
and Cassius holds this back. So again, we don't know if he's using this because he cares about Lulu or if he wants to have leverage over Lulu in the future.
Oh, you think Cassius wants to have leverage over Lulu?
I mean, I think that we can never tell.
I don't know. I refuse. I want it to be because he's in love with her and he wants Nathan's life. Okay, that's it's in my head.
But if he wanted Nathan's life, he would go for Maxie.
I think no, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I think he's in love with Lulu.
I think that's probably true.
Hmm.
Um, So anyhow, we have Laura throwing Jason under the bus. So what's his name?
Hmm.
Ezra comes to her and is like, "You got to throw Jason under the bus, distance yourself from him, and that in a way that will also distance you from Sunny." Because as this is all is happening, Sidwell believes that Sunny had Marco killed. Which makes
Hmm.
no sense. Like, in what world do you think Jason out here shanking people in the back in like Alexis's law office? But there's this like thing of they have this leverage over Laura and Sunny. Oh, that was the other thing that Cassius said that he was on purpose in the area when Laura got that flat tire.
Hmm. He kept saying that Sid will set him up for success, and he
Hmm.
did. Hmm.
Hmm. So they are like, okay, how do we distance Laura? Laura doesn't want to do it.
Hmm.
Laura is the person who does not believe that she's being blackmailed. She's the most blackmailed person I've ever seen in my life. That anytime somebody reminds her, like, girl, you know you gotta do what he says, she's like, well, I don't want to. Lord, that's not how blackmail works. That's not how blackmail works, girl. So
She seems to think that she has to have some rebellious nature because people will then start questioning her behavior. So she's trying to find any way where she can do the opposite of what Sidwell wants her to do.
and every
But
time she
yeah,
tries to find it, she still do exactly what that man told her to do.
yeah.
Every
So
time.
it's
So she has a press conference that we don't see, where she throws him under the bus. This is all happening because Rick told her to also do it. Rick knows everything now, and Carly is not happy that Rick knows everything.
Well, Carly's just not happy that he is in Sunny's life because she don't still don't know everything. So he don't know that she
Right.
don't know that he knows everything.
Hmm.
Um, but she's just not happy that Rick is back. And I don't blame
Rick
her.
is the
But
new Rick is the new Jason.
Rick is the new Jason.
So we know it's gonna be a mess when Jason comes back because you can't have two Jasons.
Right. That's the real test, not the fact that he's getting closer to Sunny. It's the fact that when Jason comes back and doesn't like it, how is he going to react? Is Rick going to, retaliate, or is he, what's going to happen?
Emily asks, does anyone else think Ezra is getting a crush on Laura? Absolutely.
Of course. Why wouldn't he?
He gets a little fluttered around her. Like
Yeah.
it's a little cute to me.
Hmm.
I know. I'm a sucker. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Sandy is saying no, not the new Jason. I think that just in name only and like being Sonny's right hand man,
Hmm.
that's the role that Rick is filling. He filled
Hmm.
this role before when
Hmm.
Jason was gone. So and it didn't work in the long run when Jason
Hmm.
even before Jason came back. So
Hmm.
yeah. So anyway, um we also have Brad showing up and kind of like with a drink, like let's drink it up because Jason's gone, and Britt slapping him.
Left the contact lens out of his eyes. The actor said, "I lost my contact
That's
lens."
really funny. Well, it is annoying to me a little bit about Brad coming in and always trash talking Jason. He's like, well, he didn't. It's just, it's annoying, especially as an audience, how we saw Jason essentially choose Britt over his own son. So then have
Mhm,
somebody else who hasn't even been there come in here and tell Britt that he's not putting her first. I don't even think the measure of a good man is putting Britt first, but that is what Jason has done through and through. And it's
mhm.
been frustrating as a viewer and as a Sam fan, as somebody who loves the J Sam baby, to watch him put this woman over this baby.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it from Brad's point of view, but at the same time, he doesn't see everything that we see.
Sure.
What I find
Hmm.
frustrating is that no matter how much abuse Britt gives to a man, they will still drop everything for her. I mean, he like Britt literally goes after Jason 100%, be like, "You're not doing this, and you're not putting me first, and you're not doing blah blah blah." And Jason still does whatever he can to help her. Now she just slaps Bradley across the face hella hard, and he's still like, "Well, next time let me know because I'll help you find the body." I
I hope
mean,
you
what
bury
is
the
it?
body.
Bury the body. I'm like, what is this woman has that make these men follow her and do whatever she wants, even as abusive as she is towards them? I don't get it. I do not get it.
I
And then
also
the
just
only
don't find it
person,
endearing. Like,
the only, yeah,
like,
and I think the only person who actually really stood up to her was old Nicholas.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, R.I.P. Um, yeah, I just Brit's not my cup of tea. And that's okay. I'm not gonna drink it. It's fine. I'm just never gonna be. I'm not a fan of this character. I'm not a fan of what they have her do, of
Hmm.
how they have her move around the canvas. I'm not a fan of how they have other characters kind of circulate and like around her. With an orbit, I don't like it. I, I constantly, as a person who is not a fan of this character, I'm like, we got to go through all this for her. It's not for me. But shout out to Brit fans, shout out
I
to y'all.
mean,
It's just not
yeah,
me.
she does have her good moments, and so, but still,
Her
girl,
good
stop.
moments are not enough to balance out how much I just am not there for her. And at first it was like fairly neutral, like it wasn't like I hated her. I was pretty neutral, but every part of her return has annoyed me. The Rocco stuff has annoyed me. The Jabrit stuff just never like landed for me. The fighting with Carly stuff never landed for me. The trying to blackmail Josslyn stuff never landed for me. It's just not it for me. But
Mm.
again, she's somebody's cup of tea, and I love that for y'all. Speaking of Jocelyn, we do have her in these like scenes with Lucas where she obviously Lucas finds her, but then they have a conversation in the hallway, And it feels like she's trying to say she can kind of understand what he's going through because of her losing Dex.
Mhm.
She also gives him the advice she probably needed at the time herself, like don't do anything rash, don't get yourself into trouble, all of that. How did you feel about the Lucas and Josslyn scenes?
I don't know. I just, I didn't really put too much thought into that, except to say that I think didn't she help him come to realize that Colin was the one that did it, or was it Britt?
Oh, now you're breaking my brain. I can't remember. I mean, he
Mm,
does know, but I don't remember
mhm,
who how he figured it out. I think it was Britt
mm,
actually.
yeah, probably. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it was
then
Britt.
the convo with Joss was negligible to me.
I think they need to figure out what they're gonna do with Joss and
Yeah,
to
they
like
do.
tell a decent story when it comes to the WSB because she's
Mhm,
kind of been layered out of her own story. Like
mhm,
the WSB story is really Carly and Valentine's story now, and then Joss kind of running around. Um, I don't I like Joss as a character. I understand um what I understand, why people get frustrated at her. I think that they just don't do right by her as a character. I've talked about this for years actually. They don't build on her history. They don't give her like like strong motivation in my opinion. So it's just been frustrating.
mhm.
We have DW who says, I don't like how they've regressed Brit to 2012, 2013 Brit. She had a lot of character growth in 2021, which is why I liked her with Jason that year. I think DW, like, there's a lot of people who felt that way. I think, I think that she grew as a character, I guess, and that's why they made her chief of staff. And she had this like hero's exit, and then when they brought her back, she was like a brat again, and it just never made sense. Like that's why she was like going toe to toe with Emma, going toe to toe with Josslyn. This is not the character that I think that people wanted to come back. Again, I've always been at best neutral on Brit, but I do understand that that's not how people feel about it.
Mm.
And then Emily is saying Britt is best with Lucas and Josh, separate her from Jason and focus her in the hospital. I definitely agree that I think that Van is so talented that he brings out the best, and he has such a chemistry with the actresses he's in scenes with. You think about the chemistry he has with Carly, with Ava, with Jocelyn, with Britt. Who would have ever thought Lucas and Britt would have been somebody that we wanted to see on screen together? But they
Right.
just like work. And so
Yeah.
I definitely agree that she's at her best when she is not a busybody, not chasing behind Jason, not whining, but actually it's fine to like have her be a little bit of like a complicated character, but I just have not been feeling the way that I haven't felt it the way that I think they wanted us to feel it. We have another person who said that Josh told Britt about Cullum and that you like Josh as an agent. Um, Yeah. I mean, I'm not particularly a fan. I will say to like my last breath that I think if they were gonna make Joss an agent, then the person that should have been at the end waiting for her shouldn't have been Vaughn, it should have been Dex. And then we
Mhm.
could have built back into that relationship. I think they also have not done her any favors by not writing her more competently and to like write her as this like rent a agent instead of somebody who's like embedded in a bureau. I think if Anna was the station chief or whatever and not Brennan, and so she actually had a mentor, that would make sense. I think if we didn't have Dante pretending like he didn't know Jocelyn was in the WSB, and we actually had some like conversations where Jocelyn is actually working with the police, it just feels like the WSB has done nothing but isolate Jocelyn as opposed to integrate her. And one of the reasons that I felt like Jocelyn worked better as a character than Chad's Michael, especially after they broke up when they broke up like the Chillo Misha quad, he just never had any peers. And so Josslyn kind of has peers, but you never see her with them. And I think that as an agent, that's a place that they've messed up.
Mhm.
And then Port Mystery said, I feel like more people would accept Josh hating Sunny because Jax hates him more than any reason she currently has. I agree with that. I think again, there's lots of reasons for her to like dislike Sunny. Um, the ones that she's laid out are not it. And that's
Yeah.
what makes it so silly. I, Eden as the actress doesn't like being at odds with Sunny. She just like, I hate that. And she
Mhm.
knows it. Eden doesn't have enough plot armor. Josh doesn't have enough plot armor to be going up against Sunny on some nonsense. Even when they had Anna going up against Sunny, as even when they had Anna going up against Sunny after they had been besties and he gave her a safe house and all that, and then all of a sudden she was mad at him, people were mad at Anna. So if a character like Anna had to like go through the stages of like the fandom being mad at her for going against Sunny, what did we think was gonna happen to Josslyn?
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Anyway. So hey Naomi. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Thanks for those in the chat. If y'all keep putting stuff in the chat, we'll keep talking about it. Um, my notes have disappeared on me. Oh, let's. So we obviously, like you said, we had Lucas realize it was Big C, be so upset that he was the one who was saving Big C when everything was going down. Like he was like, I could have been with Lucas. I could have been spending more time with Lucas, or sorry, with Lucas, with Marco as he was dying. But unexpectedly, we had Pascal running up on him. And you apparently love this performance, so tell us
I
about it.
did. So he basically he goes in the room and Lucas is like, yeah, I didn't drink the coffee or something like that. And he's like, no matter, I'm gonna put it away. And he puts it away with an attitude. And Lucas is like, is something wrong? And he's like, yes. And he throws the coffee off the table. It was like, because I lost Margot because of you. And Lucas was like, okay, I realize that you have feelings for him. We both lost him. We loved him. And he's
Which I
like,
was like,
you
that's weird.
yeah, so I think Lucas was like, I need to talk this dude down. So let me acknowledge that he actually did care about Marco. And then, Pascal was like, you didn't love him, you just used him. And
Right.
I don't know why he thinks Lucas used him, but he was in his feelings. I thought he was gonna hit him because he kept pointing at him and making him go to the back. And I thought he was gonna accuse him of trying to mess up things with Marco, and that's why he had to, report Marco to call him. But he didn't go that far. He just
Hmm.
said, you used him, and because of you, I lost him. And he goes away crying. And I was just like, oh man, poor Pascal is in his feelings. And I mean,
I
shout out
love
to
that you felt
that
bad for
actor.
him.
I did.
I
I
did
did.
not, but I
'Cause
love that you did.
there's nothing like unrequited love, you're the servant, you're the worker, and this man doesn't acknowledge you because you're beneath him, that kind of thing. And so, and Pascal worked hard, and he should have been
Hmm.
noticed for the work that he did, but they just kept shooing him away like some annoyance. So, he stood up for the man that he loved. And
I think
so
you may
shout
be
out
the
to
only
that.
person that's standing up for Pascal like this. And I love it for you. It's not my ministry, but I love it for you.
It reminds me of like these, old school Gotham novels, Gothic novels, where, the servant is in love and he's not seen. He's just seen as a servant. Yeah,
Okay.
they all patronize him. Sid will too. Yeah, I
But
don't
he
know.
is evil, Tanya.
I know
Like
he's evil, but I'm just saying evil people
you know,
could need to find love
evil
too,
people need love too. I get you. Pamela says if she still if I think this is about Josh, if she still resented him Sunny because of Dex, I'd buy that. I think I would
Yeah.
too, or at least more so. Um, This I do want to say. I want to say something about this. So Daisy Flower said people tend to forget Sonny is a victim or a villain. He's a bad guy. I would say Sonny is an anti-hero. And it really does depend. Like if we were watching something else in the world of the show wasn't the backdrop of the mob, then maybe I would feel like differently about Sonny. I think Sonny
Yeah.
has done complicated and bad things, but the way the story is being told, so like I think about the way the show wants us to see somebody versus like the way that we see things that they've done. And so if you have a show that's been on TV for 63 years, you're gonna have people who do really bad things, and then we're gonna have to flip back around and have them do really good things. And so I understand, I'm not saying that people have to like Sunny by any means. I'm not saying that people have to not see Sunny as a villain, but I see him more as an anti-hero who has done things that have like made me mad, but overall I don't hate him as a character. I think that I understand his necessity as a character. I also understand people who have like rocked with his story because for me personally, what like him or not, I think Sunny has had one of the best stories in daytime, like story arcs in daytime, from like the way he came
Mhm.
on to like just being who he was to building himself into a character to being a part of multiple super couples, well, two super couples I'll only claim, and then um and being who he is now, being this grandfather, who and like we also get the backstory of him, like that he did these things because of his family. He had all these problems with his stepfather. Like we had this like relationship he had with Stone. So the way the show wants us to see him is not as like some villain or bad guy. Not that if you feel strongly about him, you won't see him that way, but I just personally don't see him that way.
Yeah, the show gives him redeeming characteristics that helps us navigate his tendencies and make decisions that are quote unquote villainous. Like the villains that they want us to think of as villains don't have redeeming characteristics.
Right.
And so we just, not to say that we, you know, agree with him being a mobster or mobster activity, but in the terms of who is a true villain on the show, the writers make it clear that Sunny is not that. So
Hmm.
um yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to say this. I mean, Pascal has, for me, some redeeming qualities in the sense that he loved Marco. And I think, we should, give him some sympathy.
Yeah,
I
somebody has said Tanya F's with Pascal. Emily, I don't know. This is Tanya's ministry. I'm letting her go off with it. I don't know about messing with Pascal like this, but
yeah.
I support Tanya. I support Tanya. Hey, Tanya is talking about this man like he don't have Jason Johnson and Britt tied up in this evil Sandals resort. Tanya is like, listen, it's complicated.
It is.
And then going back to this, it was talking about Michael not having peers. If you remember, like Michael, so he was like he had Morgan, but we never saw him have school friends. So like if you think about Josslyn, I talked about this on my live. She had that little quad. It was her, Spencer, um, Emma, and Cam. Michael never had that.
Mm-mm.
When everything happened as a result of him being in jail, he got out. He then had Abby. Like he never had people his age. The first time he actually had peers was the chase of it all. It was the chase. It was the Willow.
Mm,
It was Sasha. And I think that that for me is what made Misha as a couple so appealing because you actually had Michael being able to be like the playboy and the billionaire. Like he's like flying Sasha to islands and dating her. He
mhm.
really had the opportunity to like flex that he's like Sonny's kid. He, also was a quartermain and sorry Tara, but he was also partially raised by Jax, right? Like he really had that swag. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Um, yes. Let me see. They have me believe. Yes. Okay, Naomi, let's talk about this for a second. They have us believing that Port Charles will fall without Sunny. this is the way they've told us. If you've watched the show, and this goes back to Tara's point of, if you watch the show for a long time, it's like you've been punished. We have been told you gotta have Sunny there. If you don't have Sunny there, then what are we gonna do? It's gonna be somebody worse. Sitwell's worse.
Mhm.
And that like everybody will be in danger. Sunny's whole family will be in danger. So even to me, they never push the danger of the mob. They only push it in pockets. And back in the day, it used to be pushed across the board. So this happens, right? Like that Marco dies and they think it's Sunny. We should have been seeing people get information. We should have seen people making calls like, okay, make sure there's a guard on Danny, a guard on Rocco. We don't even necessarily have to see these people. It would be nice to see 1 or 2 day players doing that. But like, let's make sure that we actually know it's happening.
Mhm.
They just have like forgotten that they have said all of this to us. And I don't know. It's not shaping up that way. Let's see. We got somebody asking, do we think Joss will get a new boyfriend? Um, I don't know. The only boyfriend of Joss's I really cared for is Dex. I did like the story she had with the other boy. I was a sucker for a walk to remember, so I kind of liked this story. I forget what was his name. Oscar. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I hated what they did with her and Vaughn. If they're gonna give her a boyfriend, they gotta figure it out and it's gotta be good. And they actually have to invest in the story because I know that I was like seeing when everything was happening, when people were like, placing Jex against Serena, which I never thought made sense. Jex was never invested in. They survived off of pure chemistry alone. They'd be like, we about to make dinner and then we gonna sleep together. Like it was, they never were given a chance. I thought they had great chemistry and good potential because I liked Evan a lot. They never were given the story to like actually be pushed as a couple. So if they're gonna have Josslyn have a new boyfriend, they need to actually like push it as a couple and actually invest in the story for her. Okay. Um, that is what we got for that. We'll keep moving along the week. Um, Sonny shows up to Marco's funeral to let him know that he did not have anything to do with Marco being killed. Sidwell definitely was like, how dare you show your face here? And people were like, what's going on? Um, Sidwell is like throwing around threats to somebody in the chat who was like Sidwell has everybody in danger. He's throwing around threats to Jordan. He's throwing around threats to Cassius Clay. He's telling Dante what he gonna do. All of these things are happening, and I just am interested in what's gonna. It feels like we're finally coming to some sort of head about what's gonna happen to Sidwell.
I thought we were going to get something more than we did on Friday. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens on Monday.
Hmm.
Um, I really thought Carly had a point where, you should not go over there because remember, what would you have thought if somebody who you thought murdered your kid showed up at the funeral?
And
And
Carly
Simon,
specifically said he is not, if he was not grieving, if this was like something that he could see with
yeah.
rationale, this would be different. But he has no rationale right now. He's not a rational person right now.
hmm And
Hmm.
Sonny be wildin', so he should have really thought about it. But
Hmm.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I do think that this is important, and I feel like I just want to like name it. I don't if something was happening in the chat, I don't know. But Tara was talking about like just the way we talk about the show, and I think that for me and Tanya, it is always fun. That's why I love to read the chat and like go back and forth. Like I'm not telling anybody they're wrong or that um me and Tanya get on here and disagree. And it's always fun because we all have our own personal like take. We all have our own personal experience. We have our personal connection with characters. I've talked a lot about how I don't like Elizabeth because I love Sam. That's some old school stuff. You don't have to actually hate Elizabeth to love Sam. Like that is like something that I just felt. And I think we try to also do a good job of. I think we do a good job of not making it about the actors and really
Mhm.
making it about like the characters. I'm never gonna like Nina. I mess with people who like Nina. I have one of my favorite people who I follow on Twitter is a Lulu fan. So and I'm not a Lulu fan. So I do agree that like nobody is watching this show wrong. Like it's different if like you get like information wrong, but as
Mhm.
far as like opinions, I don't think opinions are wrong. So I appreciate you putting that out there, Tara. This is always going to be a space for respect and respecting each other's opinions. We not about to have real beef over fake characters. We only gonna have, fake beef over fake characters. Uh, and Naomi,
Uh,
hilarious. You do have to hate you love Sam. You know there were people who was pushing Soliz or something. I don't know, but that's funny to me.
yeah, I thought they were making it as friends.
you know, not my ministry. But shout out to Becky and her skin, because when I met her at fan club weekend, I said, "Sis, give us the skincare routine," and she hooked me up. So
Oh, nice.
I do be feeling porcelain like. Uh, let's keep going. So we do have Drew, Willow, and Drew. Willow is monologuing and telling Drew about everything. And I was really confused by this. So Willow had already told Drew that she shot him. And then we have these scenes where she has these flashbacks, or Drew has these flashbacks. And at
Mhm.
first I was really confused. Um, and then I was like, oh, I guess that maybe they're doing these flashbacks and all of this so that Drew can know that Trina and Kai also know that Willow shot him. To me, they didn't make that clear at first, but I went back and I thought that might have been the case. Is
Mm.
that what you think?
Yeah, I really thought it was so that Drew can know himself. Like he's like remembering things slowly but surely. And so I think he's trying to figure out a way and subconsciously figure out a way how he can get himself out of the situation. Who are his allies for real and who
Hmm.
are his enemies? And him remembering that Kai and Trina, or figuring out that Kai and Trina were in the room, might be the way that he feels he can get himself out. Like, who should he be communicating with? Um,
Yeah, because he
so,
keeps doing that blinking.
right.
I think that's interesting. So we have Trina and Kai going to see Drew um and talking about what happened, and like you just like, oh, I want my compression socks, I'm such a good person, ridiculous. And then and then Willow's phone rings, and here go Trina. Wiley must be calling you. Trina,
Again, why do they always
what?
make such silly decisions? Like going to Alexis and being like, "Hey, we know Willow shot Drew." Like, what is Alexis gonna do? Not, she's not gonna turn Willow in. So now they're gonna make it obvious to Willow that they know that Willow shot Drew. I mean, like, really, ma'am?
Silly. So Emily said, "How long until Wiley learns Morse code?" That's the thing. Wiley is a little like, he is a little plot mover, baby. Okay, if the plot needs to be moved, you bring Wiley in there. He go do the thing.
Hmm.
So anyhow, I think that this is a
He's
good
gonna, yeah,
point.
he's gonna pop up. He's gonna pop up and be like, "Mom and Dad, we're learning Morse code in school."
And then walking up to Brooklyn, like, what does this mean? And she started blinking.
Right. And
So
then they were like, "Where'd you get that from?" We're like, "We saw Drew do it."
I saw it from Uncle Drew. So we have this thing happen. Everybody's looking like, why did Trina know this? Kai brings up the bat. I say, y'all are not low. You didn't like get out the house, okay? It's too much. Because even Willow says to Trina, like, "Oh, it's so nice for you to bring her these socks, considering what Drew has done to your family." And her being like, "I just feel so bad for him. Nobody deserves this." And Willow being like, mm. So they leave, and you can see Willow wondering, how in the world did they know that's Wiley's ringtone? They could have easily just said, "I heard you at court. Say hello, Wiley." They could have said how they knew.
Yeah, because Wiley calls you in court and you answer the
It was
phone.
it wasn't a secret. It was so silly. They're such bad detectives. But Willow goes, or for whatever reason, Trina and Kai go to the office. They're chatting. They're talking about it loudly. So you would think they would know better. Michael shows up, very much rich white man. I loved it, to be honest. To be like, my son is having a hard time with one baseball coach. I'm thinking about moving him. I was like, you better come be a quartermain, okay? My son having a hard time. I don't like that. So Kai like gives this whole thing about how Wiley shouldn't switch coaches, but blah 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 blah, and they land on Kai is gonna give Wiley private lessons. I do wonder if that is gonna take like Wiley being with Kai is gonna play some kind of role down the line in the story. We then have Willow showing up because apparently after the slip up, they don't stop talking loudly in the office. They just keep talking. And Willow comes up and overhears that the two of them know that she shot Drew. Do you think that Willow is going to try to hurt them? Or do you think she's going to try to blackmail them because they shouldn't have been in her house in the first place?
I don't know how she would blackmail them, but my immediate thought was like, Kai's gonna die.
Oh,
I'm like, yeah. I mean, he's like one of those throwaway characters.
damn. Well, they have obstructed justice, both Kai and Trina.
This person, Kaiwan, said they're gonna frame Kai for shooting Drew.
Mm, maybe. I mean, he did bring up the bat. Now we keep hearing about baseball. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna frame him because everybody knows that it wasn't him, or they know it's Willow.
Mm, mm,
We also have Jack going and yelling at Nina about, getting this information, and then saying to Jacinda, "You can clear Michael's name if you get me this information from Charlotte, who is your intern." So I don't know if Kai will do that, or not Kai, but Jacinda will do that. But it is moving, and it does feel like there are so many converging people and places that Willow can be like found out.
mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I think that that's gonna be. I feel like when that blows up, because we know that it's not gonna be like a legal thing that happens that gets her in jail for it, but it could be something around the congressional seat. They probably gonna make Curtis a congressman. So after everything is said and done,
That would bug the hell out of me if he became a congressman.
well, you know how I feel. But we also then have um Michael showing up at Drillo's house, and Nina is like, Willow's not here. And Michael had me cracking up. He was like, "Well, we're good co-parents now, and I'm here to see my uncle." Michael, what are we doing?
Michael being messy. I love that.
Being messy. So he
Love
walks
it.
in, and I wrote down what he said to Drew because I found it to be so fascinating. So he obviously said he felt bad for him and whatever, whatever. But he said, "You wanted Willow to all to yourself. Now you have her, and it's not how you imagined."
Hmm.
And when he said that, I said, "What does Michael know?" So we know Michael at least assumes that Willow shot Drew, but I wonder if Michael thinks that Willow had something to do with Drew's stroke, because that
Mm.
would be interesting.
Yeah. That's another, like, I think he's still at the house on Monday. So that's another conversation. I want to see
Mm-hmm.
finished.
Mm-hmm. In all of this, we also have Nina and Curtis coming back together and deciding that they're going to be friends again. I would say this. I think it is totally right that you put your kids first. So I don't think that that's like a basis of not being friends with somebody. The problem is that Willow is always going to need it. So this is not a person that you can trust, because you can trust that anything that you say can and will be used as leverage, because Willow is going to always need leverage.
Yeah, I don't think I would trust Nina to be a friend simply because you know she's capable of throwing you under the bus at any time if it serves her interests. That's
Hmm.
what makes her not a good friend. Not that you're doing anything you can to protect your daughter. No, it's you being willing to throw anybody and everybody under the bus in order to protect your daughter. And if
Hmm.
that's the case, I don't want to be that person. So I can't tell you anything.
Hmm.
So, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah, so for Curtis who needs to have some sense of, um have the world think that he's an upstanding individual, he can't maintain that while having Nina as a friend.
There you go. I mean, I'm not invested in their friendship. I'm sure that it will move forward. If Nina and Ava can be friends, anybody can be friends. Um,
Yeah. But Nina, I
so
bet Ava don't give a damn what people think about her. That's the
yeah,
difference. So,
yeah. I'm gonna go back to this one. Medora said I would have liked Jex more if they got more of a storyline based on more than sex. I um that's not how I feel, but I definitely understand people feeling that way. I had said, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that Josslyn's just like not invested in as a character. I've been saying for a long time that if the story they would have been telling was that Joss was violated within this relationship she was in with Cam, and she just couldn't do it anymore. Like it just like it was uncomfortable for her to be with him. And then she was able to be sexually liberated in this relationship with Dex because it didn't remind her of being violated. I think that just having that like connecting piece about why their relationship was that way would have been easier for the audience to accept it. And part of the reason that I accepted it is because that's the way I always thought about their relationship. And so I think that the writers did a terrible job of connecting why that their relationship was that way. So that's what I have about that. Um, okay. Um, what hot takes do you have? I have a couple.
I don't see. I don't think I had any other than my hot take about what was it? Oh, I mean,
Oh, go
can
ahead.
we talk about I it's gonna forever be a hot take. Jordan is so horrible at her job. I really thought I really thought Sidwell was gonna have something on her, and it would have been a comeuppance, as far as I could say. But he didn't have
Mm-hmm.
anything on her except that you love the money, so you better do this job. She's
Mm-hmm.
thinking like she's having a conversation with Isaiah, and Isaiah's like, why are you still doing it? And she's like, because I'm so close to finding something on Sidwell. I'm like, no, you are not. You have not found anything about this man since you've been working with him. You are no closer to finding anything on him than you were yesterday.
Nothing.
Ooh, nothing. So that's my hot take. Jordan, you are horrible at this job. You need to quit. You need to
um, I have a hot take about Lucy. Girl, why are you trying to sell real estate to Lucas at this funeral? That's trifling, girl. We got Jeff saying, didn't Curtis tell Willow about Nina and Drew? I think they both will do what's necessary for family. I agree with that. I just think that we see this from Nina all the time. Nina will
Mhm,
throw anybody under the bus for Willow. She will do it with Charlotte. She did it with Sasha. She did it with Curtis. She did it
mhm,
with
mhm.
Portia. I think that if Curtis is back in a corner because something happened and it was like a desperate piece, which is what happened, that Curtis will tell. But I'm saying that that's like Nina's first thought. She gonna betray you for Willow, and Willow gonna always need it. So that's what I mean about the like. I just wouldn't be able to trust her because she would do it to anybody. Um, and then did Nina say to Curtis she thought Willow was innocent? And I liked that Brendan told her he was like, you don't think that. I didn't like that. And then we got meant to say didn't like Chad's Michael with Willow, but as a character, he probably saw Willow's with her strengths and flaws, but Chase always had her on a pedestal. I felt like I felt like Milo for me personally was always just a little bit boring. I didn't need a couple who operated in the way that they did. I mean, chemistry is subjective, and so I'm sure that people thought, saw their chemistry that I just didn't. They were not offensive to me, but they were boring to me, and I hated that they were so front burner, not being good to me. And I was also always a Michael Sasha fan, so I was always a little bit bitter about the way things turned out. We also have to agree, it just seemed like Josh cheated on Cam for no reason. And also, what the show did that made me mad about that is they turned Cam into the perfect boyfriend. So they just made Josh look like a monster for cheating on like such a great guy. It never gave that they were invested in her character. It was just like, oh, here's some drama for you, and then Josh got dragged up and down the timeline for it. So, why isn't Isaiah in the Sidwell story? We have Isaiah saying that he don't like Sidwell, he don't trust Sidwell. Apparently, him and Jordan are cool again. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have to remember, and this is why I can't compare Sidwell to Sunny. Like, we have to remember who Sidwell is, and maybe Isaiah is too much of a reminder. Again, somebody also agreed about Nina not being a good friend. And then we went to the whole Nina is deceitful. This is why she would make a good couple with Jack. Not another Carly leftovers, but I guess she's like, if you with Valentine, we swapping. Um, then the whole Cam and Josh breaking up was clear. She felt one way about pursuing Esme, and Cam was too soft. I think that that's a little bit of it. But I just think that they weren't a match for me. Even from the beginning, they wanted to be like, oh, look at Carly's daughter with Elizabeth's son, and Eden and William always gave sibling. Um, they still are close. They're like besties, so that's what it always gave. And yeah, that's how I feel about it. Um, that's all I got, and those are the hot takes from the chat. Anything else before I get into the previews for next week and we end up? Oh, I have one more. I forgot. Molly and the surgery. I was a little put off that Molly was gonna put off her surgery to go on vacation with Cody. I was like, okay, I get it. They like each other. I thought him holding her hand and being at her bedside was cute. All of that. The idea before that she would have put off surgery for a man, like no, I didn't like that.
She was putting off her health for him in the first place anyway. Well, she was pulling off her health. She was just making bad decisions about her health the whole time. Like
True.
not listening to her doctor when her doctor was like, you should get this checked out or you should do this. She just wasn't doing all that right thing. But I think it's understandable. I think in the sense that sometimes when you get diagnosed with something, you think that you're okay. You really I can get through this, or I can just suck it up and it'll be fine. But I think what Molly is doing, I guess, especially in this story, is just kind of showing all the different ways that how having this diagnosis can come up for people, and just trying to put a little educational spin on this. um,
Sure.
but and so I'm
Sure.
glad that I'm glad we're showing that Cody. Well, one, Cody is trying to be the supportive boyfriend, too, hearing that perspective of Cody not necessarily wanting kids, I think that's interesting because you hear from a lot that men, do want to have kids and they think, it's the most important thing. And not a lot of men want that. They
Hmm.
are satisfied with the relationships that they have with young people in their lives. And they don't necessarily feel that having their own kid is the be all, the end all. Having that as a different perspective, I think, is interesting because we do have where Chase in Brooklyn is like, that's their goal is to have a child. And now we have a couple who's like, well, maybe having children isn't the only thing in life and that, you can still be happy. So I
I'm fine with
appreciated that.
that.
Yeah, I
I
appreciated
liked that perspective. I liked
that.
him at her bedside afterwards, holding her hand,
Hmm.
her little like I was drunk on or like drunk on drugs or whatever. That was all fine to me. It was her like being like, "Oh, I'll put off my surgery so we could go because you want this thing." I wasn't a fan of that. That's what I'm talking about.
Hmm. Yeah, I understand.
And then DW said Isaiah seems upset that Portia and Curtis have made peace. That's strange. I think that Isaiah like liked being Portia's knight in shining armor. They got together the whole time they've been from friends to being together. Curtis has been wilding, and Isaiah has been her safe place. So I think it's just going to be a different perspective for them. I hope this doesn't break up Black Scrubs 'cause I really like them, but um, it did feel strange. All right, for on to next week. Oh, my notes went wrong. Okay. Monday, Sunny delivers a warning. Danny visits with Charlotte.
Hopefully it's just a
Uh,
visit.
Jacinda does some digging. So that must be around the Charlotte stuff. Willow presses Chase. Oh, okay. Stella makes a request of Portia. Tuesday, a couple's date night ends in disaster. What do we think that is?
Mm.
Maybe Lulu and Cassius. Anyway, Dante wants an explanation. Maybe that's about Rocco's hand. Lulu
Or
has
maybe
cause
it's
for
Liz
cons-
and maybe it's Liz and Rick.
maybe, yeah, yeah, because they kind of together now. They just kiss up in the hospital and everything. Um, Lulu has cause for concern. Britt receives an ultimatum. Brooklyn and Lucy catch up. Wednesday, Carly leaps to action. Isaiah agrees to keep a secret. I really hope it's not for Jordan. Nathan cautions Britt. Sidwell confides in Ava. Geo issues an apology. Thursday, Curtis is distraught. Brennan makes a revelation. Carly is wary. Christina opens up about her past. Geo is grateful to Emma. And then Friday, Carly gives as good as she gets. Nina draws the line. Sunny makes a request of Rick. Laura seeks out Curtis. Cody dotes on Molly, which is what we like to hear. I so there's two pieces. I believe that Nathan, aka the actor Nathan, aka Ethan on screen, is supposed to come next week. So we didn't see that in the story or in the spoilers, but that's something to look out for. And then I don't know if you've heard that Kirsten Storms is off contract. Which made me a little sad because I love Maxie, but they haven't been using her, and we know she lives in Nashville. So we send her all the best, and we hope that we probably hopefully we get to see her on a recurring basis. I can talk. I promise I can talk.
Yeah.
Uh, well, thanks for rocking with us on this Easter Sunday. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm gonna drop the link again to buy us a coffee if you so choose. But yeah, tell everybody about Sunday Shift, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Do this right.